Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Alison Goggin with Little Black Bag Medicine, and today's topic is going to be solutions for working on PMS because so many women suffer from PMS symptoms. There's hundreds of different symptoms, it seems like, from cramping, heavy bleeding, clotting, sore breasts, brain fog, insomnia, fatigue, all of it, right? And every woman experiences something on a different level. And the real key to working with PMS is figuring out what the core issue is and where it's coming from. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, because it won't be the same for everyone, which is pretty much the theme of all of our videos here, right? So I go into a full depth how hormones function, how the brain functions in my full hormone class. So if you want the entire pathophysiology of why we have hormones, where it comes from, how it works, all of that good stuff, click over to videos, and the hormone one will be an hour long. It'll give you all that really good information. So let's just recap real quick that our brain is actually where all of our hormones cascades start. So it starts in the hypothalamus, and that's really just a big funnel, and it collects all this information on what's going on in our body. And it pretty much makes decisions, right? Like turn the heat up, turn the heat down, let's get this started, let's turn this off. And it then makes that decision and sends a hormone or a messenger to the pituitary. And then the pituitary takes that message and says, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this hormone to go directly to this organ and tell the organ to do something. So in the case of female hormones and PMS, our hypothalamus tells our pituitary to either signal our growth of the eggs, signal ovulation, to signal the period to start, all of that good stuff. So it starts in the brain, and so many women just focus on the ovaries or the uterus or what's going on down there, when really we have to start at the brain. So, and then there's a lot of other external/internal factors. So external outside of this hypothalamus pituitary ovary axis, where we have to look at the liver, we have to look at the adrenals, we have to look at the foods that we're eating. There's so many other factors, and that's what we want to talk about. And then to make things even more complicated, we have two phases of our cycle. So there's the first phase, which is the follicular phase, where we start with our period, and then everything heals and starts to build back up again. And then there's ovulation, and then after ovulation, there is the luteal phase, where the body's like, are we going to get pregnant or are we not going to get pregnant? Really simple description, right? So the problem with that is that it makes working with PMS a long-term issue. It's not a just take this pill and you're done with it, like a headache, say. It's something that we really recommend that you do a nutrition plan, a healing plan, whatever you decide to do, and stick with it for about 3 or 4 cycles. And that's because we want to make sure that the brain is picking up on what's going on, the pituitary and the ovaries, and get those signals moving through the entire cycle. Because you might do a nutrition plan and do it for 30 days and that next period sucks and you like nothing changed. Well, you have to stick with it, because that first one's usually the roughest one, and then the next one's a little bit better, and the next one's a little bit better, and then you can start really fine-tuning. So whatever program you decide to do, stick with it for about 3 or 4 months, let your body heal, and then start fine-tuning it. And that's when you're going to start noticing those really big differences, because we have to get those two phases back and forth with each other. The next thing that we always want to start with in figuring out what the solution is doing a saliva test. So there's a blood test that you can do for hormones, and then there's a saliva test you can do. The blood test for hormones is good. It's fine. It's good enough. The problem is that you don't know where you are in your cycle, and you're guessing based on what those numbers are. It's a one-time snapshot. So if you don't know the day you ovulated, if you don't know exactly where your hormones are, like you have no idea. With a saliva test, we do it throughout an entire cycle, and you basically spit in a tube every 3 days, and then you freeze that, and that will tell us exactly where your hormones are every step of the cycle, to see where's your brain, where are your pituitary hormones, where are your ovarian hormones, where are your adrenal hormones. Like, it's a huge picture, so that way you can see if it's the beginning of the cycle, is it the end of the cycle, is it a progesterone, is it an estrogen, is it a detox issue. So I strongly recommend doing a full cycle saliva test to really get you started, and so you don't have to play the guessing game, because if you're not doing testing, you're guessing. So the other thing that you can do to figure out exactly what's going on in your cycle is to do your basal temperature in the morning, which means you go to any store, Target, Walgreens, Walmart will have a basal thermometer. They're a little bit more expensive and they're usually pink, but they're like $8 and they're very, very specific. So what you do is you take your temperature in the morning as soon as you wake up. You do not get out of bed. You don't go up and go to the bathroom. You don't brush your teeth. There's actually a lot of rules with this if you're doing it for natural family planning. But if you're just doing it as a hormone check, the rules aren't as specific for me. So you just want to, alarm goes off, you put the thermometer in your mouth. It takes about a minute and you track it. And there's all kinds of free apps. And that way you can see where your temperature is, because if it's too low, that might signal a thyroid issue. If you're, so many women don't even know when they're ovulating. We're told we ovulate on day 14. However, that's just a number game. That's not true for most women at all. You can ovulate anywhere from day 10 to day 20. So it really eliminates that guessing game, so you can see where your cycle is. It helps us see if there's an adrenal problem. It helps us see if you have enough progesterone, that once you ovulate, you're having enough days before your period starts. So there's a lot of issues that can be found. So that's an $8 test, and it's still do it for the full month. And I just recommend doing it even if you're not using it for fertility or family planning, because you'll be able to figure out how your body's responding to nutrition. Is your temperature going up? Is it stabilizing? Lots of good things. So a lot of women also, I want to talk about estrogen, because we're told estrogen is bad, but really estrogen is actually good. We need estrogen, and there's 3 different types that we have to look at. So I wanted to go over the 2 categories of symptoms for estrogen for you. So deficiency in estrogen can include, I can't think, my brain doesn't work, I can't remember anything, vaginal dryness, decreased libido. Those are really common things that happen with estrogen deficiency. So we still need a really good ratio of estrogen, but we need our body to be making that estrogen. Now, if there's too much estrogen, we call that estrogen dominance, and that's when we have the excessive bleeding and clotting. We have headaches and migraines, emotional disruption. A lot of women have gallbladder issues because our liver is what takes these hormones and turns them over. It puts them into our gallbladder, so the gallbladder will release them into our intestines, and we can just poop them all out. So a lot of women who have estrogen dominance issues get their gallbladders removed because that's a symptom. But the actual core issue is that they have too much estrogen and their liver isn't conjugating it right and makes the gallbladder sluggish, and really cleaning up the liver will clean up the estrogen problems, which will clean up the PMS symptoms. And then on the other side of that, it'll clean up the gallbladder issues, which will clean up the intestinal issues. So you see, it becomes really full circle. And the easiest place to start with that is to focus on the liver healing. And we're going to get into some supplements for that as well. So really generally, my core program, and here we go, this is what I do for PMS management on a very, very general level, because everyone's really specific, is that we always start with a really good core nutrition. I highly recommend doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality Pack, because it's going to cover all of your basic vitamins, your minerals, your fatty acids, everything, your antioxidants, because PMS really is a symptom of inflammation. So remember that we need fatty acids because our hormones are all made from cholesterol. So if you're not eating good fats in your diet, if you're not eating healthy fats, if you're avoiding fat altogether because you're worried about it, that will actually damage your hormones. So we need good fats. We need good fatty acids in our diet. Stress will deplete our minerals so fast. So once we get people on a good mineral, it helps calm the anxiety. It helps support the entire body. And we always want supplements that are from whole food, because our body only recognizes food and carbon compounds. It does not recognize calcium from limestone. or B vitamins from coal. Like, it just doesn't work. So we have to use a good whole food vitamin. The next step that we always focus on is adrenal health, because again, in my hormone class, we get into the good science of this, but all of our hormones start with cholesterol, and then it gets changed, it gets moved around, and it gets made into different things. So there's something called pregnenolone steal, where our cholesterol gets turned into pregnenolone and can either be turned into cortisol, which is a stress hormone, or it can go down the chain and get turned into our sex hormones, testosterone, the estrogens, and progesterone. So if you're too stressed out all the time and your body's just constantly making cortisol, everything's going to get diverted into making cortisol. You're not going to have enough hormone base left over to make testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone in the right ratios. So really we have to support the adrenals, we have to support the emotions, start removing some of those stressors, get you sleeping so your body can rest and recover. So we talk about stress a lot, and that's because it's so vital to healing the entire body, is removing that stress. So I use herbs, exercise, meditation. We have so many different things. Emotional freedom technique. I have a number of coaches that I refer to. I use Standard Process, and they have an amazing supplement called Simplex F, and what it has in it is the blueprints for your hypothalamus, your pituitary, your thyroid, your adrenals, your ovaries, because it really just helps rebuild those organs so they know what to do. They start to know how to function, that when they're so fatigued, it'll help them rebuild. So that's really important. And then on the emotional side, we use so many oils. So things like Aromatouch oil is my favorite one for adrenal stress. Cobaiba oil, which is doTERRA just released this week, is going to be amazing because it's going to work on those systems to help reduce, or not, I don't want to say reduce because we don't want to ever reduce anything. I want to say support normal cortisol levels. We need cortisol. Again, just like we need estrogen, just like women need testosterone, but we need it in the right ratios. So when our body is calm, the inflammation is down, we have good nutrition base, everything will start to normalize itself. So it's really important. The next step, again, like we talked a little bit earlier, is liver and gallbladder support. So the more we can help the liver turn over our own hormones, so basically when we use up our hormones, our body turns it to garbage, turns it to mush, and then our liver picks it up, conjugates it, turns it over, and so our body can get rid of it. So if we can help our liver support those hormones, get them out of our body, pick up those fake hormones, those xenohormones, and push them out, and that will help our body heal. We won't have those fake estrogens floating around in our body, especially with sore breasts, around cystic breasts, around your period, or even ovulation. That's a sign of liver toxicity. It's a sign of lymph buildup. Something like Spanish black radish can really help. Milk thistle will help clean out the liver, help support the lymph system. A massage will be really great for that, and to help move everything through. And then you need that gallbladder support. The other herb that I use is called chaste tree, which helps support estrogen. It supports ovulation. It supports healthy levels of progesterone, which is really important. Diet, which is the hardest part because no one ever wants to hear you need to cut out dairy, you need to cut out gluten. But those are the biggest inflammatory pieces of our diet. And so just cutting those things out, most women report a huge difference in how their bodies are functioning. So take a chance, go gluten-free and dairy-free for 2 weeks, do a mini elimination diet and see how your body responds. Or what you can do is get a blood test to see what your body is actually sensitive to, and that way you could start rotating those foods through your diet, which will start reducing the inflammation, which will help your body heal and help you have normal stress levels, normal cortisol levels, normal progesterone levels, so it's all intertwined. The last oil that I use is Clary Calm, which is the Women's Monthly Blend from doTERRA. And when I first got it, it was to support you during your monthly time. So I'd use it, helps with cramping, helps with pain. It's awesome. It just does the job. And then someone said, you should try using this every day. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. And it just changed everything about my cycle. It hits the thyroid, it does hit the hypothalamus, the pituitary, it hits the adrenals, it hits the ovaries. So it really becomes a full system, full endocrine support. It's phenomenal. So I do recommend that you use it at least once every day. I swipe it from hip bone to hip bone, rub it in, keep it in the bathroom, keep it in the car, keep it in the office at work, like keep it around you because it's going to help support your mood, your endocrine system, everything. We want to keep that whole system balanced all the time. So if you love your Claricalm, drop me a comment so we can share the love, right? And then the last thing is get personalized help, because you have to figure out where the core issues for you are. Is it coming from your liver? Is it coming from your hypothalamus? Is your brain working great, but your ovaries aren't picking up on the message? Are your adrenals stealing hormones from the rest of your body so you can't make progesterone? Sometimes we do need bioidentical support just for a little bit to help our body start making those hormones on our own. Chiropractic is huge for helping with PMS, not only because it reduces inflammation, but it will help with the pain, it will help with the nerve signaling, it'll help with the hormone signaling from the brain, because if your neck is tight and you don't have that good flexion, and I mean like the up and down motion in the back of your neck, that's going to be pulling on your pituitary, and that's going to be creating inflammation, and you won't be able to signal as well. The other thing that I've personally found to be amazingly helpful is acupuncture, because it helps support my liver and my gallbladder. And so I know every week before I start my period, I just go and get acupuncture. It helps balance everything, and then I'm good to go. And the more I go and the more consistent I take care of myself, and I know you know this too, is that the faster everything just balances out. So I didn't get acupuncture once and it cured the world. I've been going for about 2 years now. And I found, of course, the more consistent I am, the better I do. And then when I drastically changed my diet, the better I did with acupuncture, which means the faster my body kept up. And then just taking care of yourself piece by piece, getting that testing done so you know where you stand, so you don't have to play that guessing game. And you can always do a supplement and essential oil protocol. Again, do that for 3 or 4 months and see how you do. And then if that didn't change the game for you, then we can talk and reevaluate and see if we should do the testing. So there's lots of different steps. There's lots of different ways to address your body with whole food, nutrition, herbs, oils, all that good stuff. I am here to help, and part of September being PCOS Awareness Month, I am doing a full month package this time with a consultation. And what it actually starts with is a 30-minute consultation to see if we need to do any testing, order that testing. Maybe you need basic blood work. Maybe you just want the food sensitivity. Maybe you need something else that we can look at, like MTHFR testing, toxicity test. I have a million tests. We got to figure out if you need them and which tests that you need and would be most helpful. And then you fill out your paperwork and you give me your whole health history. You're going to say what everyone says, which is no one ever asked me about all of these things in my life. And then you send that to me. I review it and I review your tests, and that first 90-minute conversation is based all around your history, making sure I have all the dots connected and making a plan. And then part of that plan will include your supplements, 4 extra consultations, and unlimited, essentially, quick calls or questions to me to make sure everything's going smoothly for you. So if you're interested in doing that program, shoot me a message or comment like I'm in, and I will get a hold of you and we will make it happen for you, so you can start your own journey of healing. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. I hope this was helpful and educational for you, and I will see you tomorrow, and we will keep plowing through our hormone healing classes. Thanks.